I am so happy you found Virago 24/7. If you are loving this podcast, please go to wherever you're listening and rate the podcast. 5 stars are very much appreciated. And a review wouldn't hurt as well. And don't forget to share, share, share. Today's show is sponsored by the Healing Life Institute, where they are passionate about your personal growth and your healing. They offer support and guidance to help you discover your inner strength and move you into a more authentic and vibrant way of living. Imagine this. You wake up each day filled with peace of mind, motivated to enjoy your day. Personal health is just a habit you've already established instead of something that you just keep putting off. The day ahead doesn't seem overwhelming because you're already on your way. This is the kind of life you can have in 2021. And the Healing Life Institute invites you to join the No Fear This Year online mastermind program. And the program's going to show you the most effective way to cope with anxiety. You can go to their website and download a free PDF today. And if you love what you see, you can sign up for the whole year. And it only costs $49 a month. And with the program, you're going to receive monthly courses with live video from the founder, Brit Morris, and worksheets to use to apply everything that you're learning. Every week, Brit will answer your questions, and every single day, you will receive daily prompts to help change your habits and achieve your goals. So, to get started today, you go to healinglifeinstitute.org and you go to the No Fear This Year e-course to sign up. Choose you in 2021. No matter what time of year it is, now is the time to invest in you and build your best year ever. Hi, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Hey everyone, and welcome to another show, Virago 24/7. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Brit Morris, and she is a therapist here in Atlanta, Georgia. Her practice is called the Healing Life Institute. She has been named top 40 over 40, making a difference in her community. She also has the top family and marriage practice, and she's also the top family and marriage therapist. So I want to welcome to the show Brit Morris, or Brit Morris, as she likes to be called.
Oh, yeah. So my friends call me Brit. So,
Okay.
yeah. So thank you so much, Leonette, for having me today. And I just absolutely love all that you're doing. Virago meaning, a woman who demonstrates heroic qualities, that we are all female warriors and, living as warriors 24/7. So I just applaud you and thank you for being a voice for many and being a light.
Well,
and thank you for having me on as well.
Thanks for being on. And then also, before we get into Brit and what she does, my lovely friend Shiney is here. Shiney like the sun. Say hello.
Hi.
She's just like my sidekick today. So we're going to be interrogating and asking lots of questions to Miss Brit. So
Yes.
welcome.
Happy to be here.
All right. So Brit, I'm going to let you take it over and tell us, what you do, how you approach the mind, and I just want to learn. We want to learn so that we can have 2021 be like an awesome, awesome year for all of us.
Well, yeah. Well, I love that. Yeah. So one of the strengths and one of the things that I am trained in is brain health. And where we are in therapy today is we actually can choose our thoughts And it's just a game changer. And so that's really where, we've used a lot of therapy, which one-on-one and talking, talk therapy. And it just really hasn't impacted the drastic way that anxiety and stress is impacting our world. And so that's the great thing where we are in, therapy today is that our brain, we can rewire our brain. And so what I do is I really teach my clients, one, how to focus on what's important to them. Mm-hmm. And then really be intentional on how you show up, not only in taking care of yourself, but also in taking care of others. And so what they call it, it's emotional brain training. And that's just really a fancy way, guys, of how I can rewire my brain and respond to stress and anxiety, because, the stress and anxiety is not going. That's just a part of our human nature. However, when I can learn to recognize what my own triggers are, I can then intentionally choose how I respond. And so one thing that I do that's just so fun is I have tons, and Shiney knows this, I have tons and tons and tons and tons of really fun tools of like, okay, this is how I'm going to rewire my brain, and I often say that, I'll ask something to y'all, do y'all brush your teeth every morning?
Yes.
Definitely. And could you imagine, you would not?
Right. My husband's a dentist, and there are some people that do not brush their teeth every day. Sure, that's facts.
Really?
Oh yeah. Grown people, grown people. Yes.
Right. And so you wouldn't kiss your husband before you brush your teeth, right?
No, not me.
So then I'll ask you this question: Why do you not brush your thoughts? Why do you allow thoughts of worry and anxiety and fear to live there?
I've learned how to sort of kind of do that. But I think before, it's like sometimes it was comforting to be in that world. It was comfort just to be like, I should be worried about everything and I should feel anxious because that's just who I am. I think you just get comfortable in those feelings.
Or maybe it's just that's all you know.
Yeah.
That's your norm.
Yeah. Well, I have anxiety when things are out of place. So that I haven't put out of place. Someone else has messed up my kitchen, or I used to scream, oh my gosh, what is going on in this house? I'm the only one that cares. And so literally the last 2 years I've had to calm my butt down, realize it's really not that serious. And no one wants to live with a crazy person. So I've had to change how I respond. Seriously, I'm like, first of all, is it that serious that the dishes are piled up because the children didn't know to put it in the, dishwasher? Instead of freaking out, I've learned to just breathe, look at it for what it is, and it's not the end of the world. So I've learned a teeny bit on my own from reading stuff, but yeah.
So I love that. So what you're saying to me is you changed your perspective
100%
on how you handle conflict and anxiety.
Yes.
So let me ask you another question. Who from your childhood, if you don't mind me asking, who from your childhood or your upbringing taught you these unhealthy ways to handle difficult situations? And you don't have to. We could even use, if you watch Dynasty, all the TV shows taught us unhealthy ways.
Well, honestly, so my mother, I love you, Mama. She's listening. I love you so much. But she is very, from her upbringing, she can control her little space. So she's very OCD. It hasn't been clinically diagnosed, but everything has to be in its place. I had to be clean. I had to be put together. I couldn't, get dirty. If I was wearing my beautiful dress, everything had to be in its place. And even now I mess with her. I'll move something. I'm like, watch, guys. I'm going to move this. And she'll know who moved it. Even if it's a slight movement, she knows that someone moved her, whatever, her little knickknack. So it's from her. And then from the other side, my dad and my stepmom, just not being able to express myself openly. So then, I don't know. So it's a little bit on both sides.
Well, and let me touch just a little bit on that, because this is where, where I started, where we are in therapy today is we didn't have these tools back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of our parents were doing what they thought was best because that was what they were taught. That was what they were modeled. And so it's something that I call group thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what group thinking is?
No.
The group thinking is where the people within your group, there's a social norm. And if you step out of that, you get shamed and blamed.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And so conflict is just a part of life. So what were we taught? We were taught to rescue. We were taught to keep everything perfect. We were taught, children are to be seen, not heard. Mm-hmm. We were taught all of that. So to actually step out of that group thinking, you would get shamed.
Mm-hmm.
And then your friends would be going, well, you're supposed to do this and that. And so that's the major shift
mm-hmm.
that I'm seeing, that I love, that you were like 2 years ago, I shifted my perspective. I realized it's wisdom to step out. And I liken it, when we used to smoke cigarettes, right? My grandmother smoked cigarettes, and that was the social norm.
Yeah.
They didn't realize it was harmful. So that's what I always say. 99% of the time when our parents were modeling this for us, their intention was good.
Of course.
Their intention. Yeah. And so that to me is just kind of a game changer, because we can change our behaviors regardless of our age.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to be reactive, and I have a 22-year-old son, and I used to show up in conflict as a rescuer. Okay. Which is a very unhealthy way to show up in conflict, and trying to make sure everyone's like really happy,
mm-hmm.
And it's, that circus act where it's the guys like spinning all the plates.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to make sure the house is clean. I got to make sure like my children are okay. I've got to make sure that I look good. And it's like, it's just not manageable.
Yeah.
However, do y'all feel like we've been conditioned a little bit that way, especially as women?
Yes. And then not asking for help. So I remember when the kids were little, I would get so overwhelmed thinking that, so I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I have to take care of everything because he works, and that's not on him to come home and have to help when I've been home all day. So that was my thought process. And then I would get so overwhelmed. One day he's like, first of all, I can't read your mind, so you have to let me know how you're feeling. And it's okay to ask me for help. But that's coming from a man who came from an upbringing that was very secure and very, he had a really good foundation. So he was very mature to be like, ask for help and I'll help. But I can't help you if you don't tell me. And I'm like, oh, is that how that works? Is this how we communicate around here? So now I've learned, like, hey, hon, like, I said I was going to do all of these things, but I'm way over my head and I need your help. And he's like, okay, what do you need help with? So just learning to express myself has been liberating. And him actually accepting what I'm saying has also helped me to be like, okay, he didn't chew me up and spit me out. Like, it's okay. Like, it's a safe space. So it's been also with his help that I've grown.
My mom says stuff like that. She always says, like, if you want somebody to help you, you have to tell them.
Yeah, well, it's true. Yeah. That's what I've learned. I'm like, oh, I just thought you could read my mind.
But I'm the same way. I'm also a rescuer. I mean, I always feel like, this need to help everyone. Yeah. And when I'm unable to do that, I have this sinking in my chest. And I do it to the point, which Leonette, I do it to the point where it became an expectation.
People expect it from Shiney because she is always there.
Right. Yeah. So my problem, and one of the reasons that I sought out Bridget, was that it became such a job. That's what it became. It became a job that I started doing it to the point that it became an expectation, and that there were people in my life that when they got sick or they broke a leg or they moved to a house or they did something, that if they didn't get a meal or they didn't get something from me, that they were disappointed, and they expressed that disappointment in me That
like, how dare you didn't bring me a meal?
How come you didn't bring a meal to me? So then it no longer became, I no longer was a joyful giver. And that's what I always was and wanted to be. So
have you set boundaries? And if you have, how has that been received?
I am learning to do that with the help of my friend, Brit Morris.
Nice. Okay, so you're not quite there yet? You're not quite there with the boundaries? You're learning?
Which I think that she's going to touch on. But,
okay.
It's something that I realized I wasn't very good at. I definitely know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and that's something that I have trouble with. I want to help everyone, but I haven't been helping myself. So,
yeah, and that's so common, and I was the same way. So the tools that I I'm 50, and so the tools that I teach my clients are tools that I put together just to really teach myself, and with all the great training of people that I've been able to, be under. However, what I found was growing up, well, let me ask you guys, like, conflict is a part of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are either taught healthy ways to handle conflict or unhealthy ways. And when stress is really, really high, especially like with what's going on in our world today, there's just a lot of stress. There's a lot of unknown variables in our life. So we're on more of a heightened sense of reaction because our security is being threatened. I mean, it's easy for me to sit on the beach with a pina colada and be like, yeah, okay, whatever. You didn't show up. You're 15 minutes late, Right. Like, that's very easy. That's where I'm like, okay. However, if you start to not learn how to manage your own life and you put other people's needs before yours, and in that family of origin, especially, you were identified as the rescuer, then your identity, I know for me, I took a lot of pride in being a rescuer. And I took a lot of pride in helping others. However, then I had to look at my own life and I was like, wait a minute, my life is a mess. Like, my foundation, it's not balanced. And so that's one of the great things that I help my clients do is, well, what's the opposite of being a rescuer? Do you know what? And then learning how to do that. So what do you think the opposite of being a rescuer? If I'm not going to rescue people, then what do I choose to do?
That's a good question. I have no clue. I don't know. There's an opposite of that?
There is an opposite. And so I call it being a self-champion.
Okay.
And what a self-champion does is we serve others instead of rescuing others. And so it's a very intentional way. And I love Chick-fil-A. Okay, Chick-fil-A is great at serving people. Mm-hmm. Versus rescuing. So what's a rescuer do? A rescuer is like, oh my gosh, I see a need, I can help. Yeah. Versus a server will say, how can I serve you? How can I help you? And then they know their limits. So if I'm serving at Chick-fil-A and I drive up and I say, I'd like a grilled chicken sandwich. I'd like a number one, grilled chicken sandwich. They can serve me. However, if I drive up, after our show and I go there and I say, I need 10,000 chicken sandwiches, they're going to be like,
I can't help you with
what? And then they're going to say, well, you can call our corporate and they're not going to lose their cool because they understand what they can do and what they can't. And so that's really where I empower my clients, is really to take that time to thoughtfully and peacefully detach from the situation and really get yourself emotionally well. So then you can learn, well, how can I help? What is my responsibility and what isn't? So you can still be able to interact with people with compassion. Because that's ultimately, as a pleaser, we really do believe in, giving people the benefit of the doubt. And we really do believe in, a really thoughtful world, and that, we're created for connection. So just going like, well, I'm not going to help, and no go, and you're a jerk. Well,
So there's
that's
a
not
balance.
healthy.
Yeah.
That's just the opposite way. So I always say and my son knows this. So I've had to go through this with my son because I'm divorced, and I recognize in my relationship that ended 12 years ago, I was showing up as a pleaser. I was showing up and I call it the conflict circle. So you're either like a blamer, or you're a rescuer, or you're a victim, and so you just orbit. So the person that I was involved in a relationship with he was more the persecutor or the avoider. He would either yell or avoid. And then I would sit there orbiting in the circle, either being a rescuer or a victim.
Wow.
I'd be like, I need help. I'm anxious. Like, you got to text, I got to fix this. And then I'd be like, no, this isn't good. And so what I had to realize, and I said to my son, I said, I need to apologize to you. And he's like, for what? And I was like, I keep showing up as a rescuer, and that's not healthy. And so I took accountability for my actions, and I said, so can we start to learn how to handle conflict as a self-champion, learning how to first serve ourselves. So then we can step out and really, live life with intention. I love how you say, the 24/7, being present in each of those moments.
Yeah. I love that. I didn't realize I was a rescuer, but now that you defining it, it's like, yeah, I get, like, I'm a good listener. So people tell me stuff and
you want to help,
like deep stuff. And so I get very exhausted because I'm like, how can I help them? Like, they have to get out of this situation. And so I've learned, I'm like, well, I can't take on people's emotions because it's exhausting for me. So I'm learning. That's what I'm learning.
And the truth is, actually,
last year I started learning.
And honestly, I think people, even when they do tell you, they don't actually want your advice. They just
want to listen.
They just want you to listen.
Okay.
They want a hug. They want your support. They don't really want you to fix them.
But I want to. But I want to, Shiney.
We talked about that too.
I want to fix it.
Well, you used to, because you used to. Now, today, moving forward with these tools, you're going to keep having this change of perspective.
Yeah. Well, it's like you want to see people happy.
Yes.
That's my thing. I'm like, but it could be so much better. Like, if you just change it and just get out of it, just dump it, then you'll be so happy. But I'm like, okay, that's easier said than done. So I'm working on it.
Well, and that's one way. And there's that movie. It's a cartoon called Inside Out.
Yeah.
Have y'all? So what spoke to you in that movie?
I don't know. You kind of get perspective on what's going on in your head and your brain. And
how about you, Shiney? What spoke to you?
I guess the conflict of them all fighting to take over.
Uh-huh.
Well, and what spoke to me and why that was such just a game changer is I teach my clients, it's called the gift of feelings, because our feelings are really a gift. They're not facts. Feelings are not facts. Feelings are how I'm interpreting what's occurring around me. And so if I'm feeling frustrated, then I need to recognize why and what I can control in that. Because it might be a fact, like, let's say it's a fact that I get fired, right? Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. Well, I can either feel, angry and like it's everyone's fault and go into despair, or I can have the fact I'm fired. However, I'm going to choose to, one, probably be anxious and a little fearful, and it's the and joyful and trusting that I have the skill set and that, that life's working for me. And so it's being able to manage all those emotions. And so if you remember in the beginning of that movie, the family has moved. Mm-hmm. So the little girl is feeling sad, and happy is like, or joy. Joy's like, no, sadness. No. And so joy and sadness are fighting with each other. And so what happens is joy and sadness get lost in the long-term memory. until Joy then realized. And so the girl just starts to go darker and darker and darker. And then the little girl, Joy, then finally realizes, she remembers that moment, which is the little girl and her parents. The little girl loses her hockey match, and the mom and dad comfort her. And it was in the moment of the sadness of them comforting each other that the real connection occurred that then brought the joy. And so we can hold joy and sadness at the same time. It's just the game changer is, well, how do you cope with it?
And so that's going back. So I wanted to go back to something you said like a few minutes ago, where you said we choose our thoughts. So when you say that, someone's gonna be like, well, that's easy. That's easy for you to say, but it's so much harder to really choose our thoughts. So can we like get deeper into that?
Yes. So I'm going to ask you. So I love that. Okay. So let me ask y'all a question. Okay. So why we do what we do is a belief system. That's just FYI. Okay. So that's why you're going to hear me ask you a lot. Do you believe? Because that's a game changer. So I'm not going to tell y'all what to do. Because one thing that I'm big on is every single person having their own voice, because we're all unique. And when you can dig your like roots into your belief system, that's where change happens. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you guys, do you believe you can control your first thought?
Probably not, because it's instinct, maybe. Like it's like the first thing that your body reacts to. So no.
Okay, Shiney?
No, she's right.
Yeah.
Correct. So if I cannot always control that first thought, then what can I control?
Like how I respond to those feelings. Like if I'm mad because the dishes are in the in the sink, I have to step back and I can control how I react to it. Like with that emotion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
that was perfect. And just to simplify things, what I say is, well, if I cannot control my first thought, I can control
My second thought.
My second, and then my third, and then my fourth, and then here comes that self-doubt again. And then I can control my second, and then my third. And so that's what all of my tools, I always say they're not a silver bullet to instantly change. However, when you start to use these tools to train your mind to live in the present moment in the conscience, that's where change occurs. And so I do some cheesy things, as I was born in 1970 and we can be a little cheesy. I always think we're like, I just think we can be a little goofy. I don't know. So I do something so one principle that a message that I want to get out is to be for change. I want us to start changing this group thinking.
Yeah.
And for each person to really take ownership of their life, their actions. It's the butterfly effect. I mean, we are all created and connected. So my words, my actions has an impact. So I want us to be for change. So if we're going to start to change and not live in fear and worry, that first thought, and start to live with intentionality, self-empowerment and care and compassion. How do we do that? And so I do this thing that's cheesy, but it's called a high four. So you guys know what's a high five or a fist pump?
You're excited. You're excited. You're like yay.
So I don't know if y'all watched the Packers Tampa Bay game, but I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, and they lost. And I was not high fiving anyone, right? No. So my team lost. So a high four is the same thing. So and it started with my clients, is when we realize we're choosing thoughts of empowerment, thoughts of self-awareness, thoughts of I can choose my perspective. I'm responsible for how I show up, not only loving myself in the moment, but then intentionally stepping out and serving others. then we give each other a high 4. And what that does, it's going to retrain your brain to say, wait a minute, I can choose my thoughts. And why that's such a game changer is, well, let me ask you guys, do you believe that we like change? Do you like change, Leonette?
Depends on the change. No, I do like change. I've learned it's been a learned acceptance. Like I've had to learn how to accept change. Yes. So I'm okay with it because I feel like sometimes change, even though we don't know in that moment, is always so much better than what we even thought, if that makes sense. Like all of my change has always been positive, even though in the moment it didn't feel like it was going to be positive. So yeah.
Correct. So that's a lot of wisdom. So that's the skill that you acquired.
Yes.
How about you, Shiney?
For me, change has been really exciting. I chopped my hair off.
Yes, you did.
She did. She looks beautiful.
Chopped it off. Not just a little off, but yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, and I know like maybe some people may have not embraced it, but like secretly when the people that I know that did not embrace it, like in my head, I'm like, I love it, and I don't care what you think.
Well, it gives you a little sass. You have a swagger too with it short.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, just saying.
But thank you. You know what it did? It's like my kryptonite or something. I feel like more power. I feel more empowered.
Yeah.
Good
for you. Good for you.
It feels healthier. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
And lighter, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it was symbolic. What I believe is that it was symbolic of you actually breaking free of worrying, personalizing what other people say, and focusing on the outer, and you being able to say, "This is me," and you're just as beautiful with short or long hair. However, your inner beauty is now shining through.
That is a good point. Yeah,
true.
That's it.
Yeah, because you're right. Because we focus so much on, like, when we have really long hair and we have full makeup and we're all dressed up, like, that we are focusing on, and I don't. That doesn't matter.
No,
you're right. And I do want to focus on my inner, and I'm working on
changing the inner.
Yes, and so for me, yes, and
I think most humans don't like change.
Well, exactly, and that's what I was going to touch on.
And that's hard for them.
Oh yeah,
it is. So this is the power of our brain. Is our brain does not like change. So if you've been conditioned to be a pleaser, if you've been conditioned to really focus more on your outward versus your inward, like, thoughts and choices, your brain's going to start to tell you no, and it's going to hurt. So when you try to change, it's going to say no, and you're going to get really uncomfortable. So if you don't know how to manage the uncomfortableness, then you're going to just go back to what you know. And I always think about it kind of this way, like if, Chick-fil-A is like my favorite restaurant.
We love Chick-fil-A here too.
So I'm going to use Chick-fil-A again. Yeah. However, I love their number one, which their number one, is a Coke, fried and French fries.
Yes.
And however, I'm trying to work on my cholesterol and I'm trying to be healthy. So I go and I have to I will order the water and the fruit and the grilled chicken, and I'm sitting there eating it, and I'm just like, and I'm having this narrative. I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this. However, I've got to and then I see the other people having and I'm like, okay, however, I'm choosing to do this because my doctor has told me I need to watch my cholesterol. And so I have that conversation because I'm telling my brain it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to change. It's okay to say no to people. It's okay to take care of yourself. That's not selfish. It's actually wisdom. Mm-hmm. When the plane's going down, I have to put the oxygen mask over me as moms. Yes. That's so counterintuitive and hard because I'm like, no, I can put it there and here and go back and forth with the oxygen mask. Yeah. Do y'all feel that way? Like it's the friction. It's the struggle of.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I used to feel that way. I don't anymore. I'm more of, it's okay to choose me first. And it's been very empowering for me as a person.
I think you're really good about that because I feel like when I've met you, you are about. For me,
but I wasn't always like that, Shiney.
Change. I know, but the you I met the one I know. Yes, you're. It's. I
don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't.
But I love that about you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It's very attractive.
It's been a lot of internal struggles because
No, I think that's great. For me, that's very new. Mm-hmm. And I realize it because now I realize I have to be alive for my kids. Who else is going to love them this much? And who else? So yes, for me, putting myself first and wanting to be healthy and all that stuff. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Well, and so Leonette, that's why I love that you're doing this podcast and for women, because, it's us coming together that are learning these really practical ways and then empowering others, because ultimately, and that's where my heart is going to impact our children.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Because us modeling healthy ways to handle emotions, that's really what we're doing. Remember, I said what I do in my practice is that emotional brain training. Fancy way of saying I can choose my thoughts. Yeah. Really? Yes, not my first. So that worry and anxiety is going to be there. So what's the opposite of worry and anxiety? What's the or feel like most people, these are their first thoughts when stress hits is not being understood, being abandoned, being rejected, feeling alone, feeling scared, feeling judged, feeling left out.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the opposite of that then?
I mean, for me, it would be like feeling accepted.
Or understanding. I mean, trying to be a little bit more understanding of why.
Like when I feel anxious, like I choose to feel in that moment, because anxiety is more of an internal like feeling where you just don't know what to do with that energy. And it's like, okay, I choose peace at this moment. So instead of feeling anxious, I want to feel peaceful. So it's like choosing peace over that. Okay, what? And then I start asking myself questions like, how can I get there? And so it's like, is it important? Is this something that is do or die? Is it like, and a lot of times it's not. So it's like, why am I feeling this way? So I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing to feel comfortable in my skin, choosing to feel comfortable in knowing the decisions that I'm making, and being okay with it and not having to justify them to anyone. And not saying that I don't like feedback or, criticism, because we all need that. But just knowing that if this is what I'm choosing, I don't have to justify it to anyone. I don't have to explain it to anyone. This is it. Like, so to me, that's what the opposite of all those things are.
So high 4. Leonette, I'm giving you a high 4. Woohoo!
I'm passing this therapy.
I know you've taught yourself this on your own.
I have a strong faith in God. So it wasn't just me by myself. It's me reading my Bible. It's me reading books. It's me. So it wasn't just like, boom, Leonette figured it out. It's just a constant, like, I choose to fix what's going on. I choose to change what's happening on my insides. So it's been a process.
I said, thank you for sharing that, because that's the game changer for me too. As I say, all of those things that I mentioned, anxiety, being misunderstood, they're fear.
Yeah.
And the opposite of fear to me is faith.
Yes.
And so I'm either living one with God in the moment, which is why we are created to be here. This is my belief. Or I'm showing up and trying to make choices on my own. And that's one of the big things is what I hear you saying is you learn to stop focusing on the noise around you and to shift inward and to anchor yourself in your relationship with God.
Yes, that's been huge. Yes.
And do you know why that's so critical when we're dealing with emotions?
I'm starting to realize that the noise, and I love these people with all their noise, but for me, it's what God has intended me to do. It's what's important to me now moving forward is my relationship with God, what I was put here on this planet to do. So when you're kind of strong in that, when it's strong in your soul, that noise just doesn't matter anymore. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It just, It's just noise. And I used to let it in, and now I don't, because it's like he has given me a shield or something. I don't know. I can't explain it.
No, that makes complete sense. And and this is why it's so important to our emotional being, is because we are emotional beings. We were just like physically, I need water and food and shelter to live. Well, emotionally, we're created to love and to be loved and to be in relationship with others.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I do that in a fallen world? How do I do that with all of us that are, hurting? Because we are, that's that's part of our human is, as I say, you have to be. So I say you're either in right relationship with God or you're in right relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's that catch shift. So when you can ground yourself in right relationship with God and really hear his voice, because what are the opposite? So we'll go through that. Like when we feel misunderstood, God listens.
Yeah.
God understands us. When we feel abandoned, what does God say? I will never forsake you. I will never leave you. When we feel unlovable, what does he say? You're wonderfully and beautifully made in my image.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I have fear and what am I going to do? He says, I did not give you a spirit of fear or timidness. I gave you one of power, strength, and sound mind. And so that's the game changer for me, is when you really can shift those first thoughts of worry and anxiety and choose to turn to that relationship with God and say, okay, God, what is up? God and I have the most vibrant relationship. I don't know. I'd love to know y'all's. I'm like, I am scared. I'm like, what the heck?
Yes.
This is awful. And he's just like, Brit, I'm here.
Yes.
And he's like, just be still. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be still. And he's like, just be still and just serve yourself right now so you can serve others. Because we never know when we're planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our role. Our role is just to plant the seeds of kindness.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%. Mm-hmm. And then also just to tack on to what you're saying with, choosing the opposite and just knowing what God wants for you. Also, what I used to do is, if in this moment I'm feeling kind of, worthless, or I would take all of the situations from the past since I was 7 and just, okay, I was worthless here and I was worthless here. And so it's you kind of make this little small feeling into this huge boulder of just worthlessness. So I've learned not to bring the past into the present, which has been so hard, because I would get so depressed, well, maybe I am this person, or maybe I'm that, or, and you just kind of define yourself based on what's happened, because you have all these different examples to bring. And it's let that be in the past and focus on what's happening right now, and not be so hard on yourself over every little thing that's happened in your past. So that's another thing that I've learned.
Yeah. So do you know what we call that in therapy? Mm-mm. It's called an emotional collapse.
Okay.
So if we have things from our past, because our experiences shape us, and if we haven't taken the time to really heal those wounds, or just understand that, justice doesn't always prevail. Mm-hmm. There is going to be difficult things in this world. There's going to be loss. If we haven't taken that time to cope, then what ends up happening is, I liken it to having some dominoes. And so think about dominoes just being lined up, right? Mm-hmm. So how old are you?
I am 41.
41. Oh, y'all are going to love it. How old are you, Shiney? How old are you?
43.
Oh, you're about to be 44. So I'm 50. So with that, so what ends up happening is, think about it. You've got 41 dominoes lined up, each one representing your life. And if there's something traumatic that happened when you were 7, and you get triggered and you're not aware of it, it could be, you're going to default back to that.
Yeah.
And then to get back up, if you don't have these tools, it's hard. And a simple way for me to explain that is, with 9/11, that was such a traumatic experience that afterwards, when I see a plane, or you guys like this, now when I see a plane near a building, I pause. But before 9/11, we never thought that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you get stuck in personalizing that, like, my parents got divorced, so there's something wrong with me, or I had sexual abuse, or someone did this, or the boy rejected me, and I get stuck in that and just kind of stuff it, it keeps coming up again and again and again. And that's why by retraining your brain and being like, okay, my first thought's going to be, that was difficult. That was sad. And I'm a healthy adult. I can grab my younger self and I can say, okay, Brit, it's today. What are we going to do about this? Because I'm in charge of how I show up and take care of me, and, deal with the unpleasant feelings.
Yeah. Let's get into what you're doing this year. So it's your challenge. It's called the No Fear This Year Word Challenge. Is that how we're calling it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
so what I'm trying, so I have a really fun program, and it's starting. And what I'm trying to do is just get these tools into the hands of as many people as I can at real affordable prices, because therapy can be very expensive. I know this. And so what we're doing, and I'm so excited, is we've got our No Fear This Year program, which it's $49 a month. And you're going to get a class, a live class taught by me each month, which will give you a principle. And you're also going to create your own personal mental health care kit, so you can clean your thoughts every day, just like you brush your teeth. And there's so many, they're really fun. And so that's the No Fear This Year program. And so you can join anytime. And that's a great thing. It's like everything's going to be in your class portal. So if it's April and you decide to join, that's fine. Because this is really what I'm teaching people, is just a different perspective, which it seems like you're seeing that, and you're already applying that in your own life. And it's such a game changer.
It is.
So to simplify things, is we're creating, what is your No Fear This Year word? And it's just a really fun exercise, because if I can't control that first thought, well, then I can choose my second. And our second's going to be the No Fear This Year word. And then we help you find out, well, why'd you choose it? And that's a game changer, because I know a lot of times I'd be like, well, I'm choosing joy. Well, why? And it's when you can actually identify why I'm choosing that. And so then that's how we end up retraining our brain. So I'm going to have you guys do this. And if you guys are listening, do this for me too. So clasp your hands together in front of me. And there's not a right or wrong way to do this. So I have my left pinky on the bottom. Shiney, what do you have?
Mine too.
Okay. How about you, Leonette?
Yes, mine is at the bottom.
Oh, we all have our left. That's interesting.
Never mind.
Yeah, like I said,
I lied.
No, yours is your right pinky.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I lied.
Okay,
it's
yours
my
is right. Okay.
I'm weird. I'm opposite.
No, there's not. There honestly, it's just a natural. There's not a right or wrong way.
That's
Okay,
right.
so that feels comfortable, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to take our hands apart and we're going to change. So now, Leonette, I want you to put your left hand on the bottom and reclasp your hands. And then Shiney, I want you to put your right hand. And then I put my right hand. Okay, so this is what I call our catch shift. So what I'm meaning is we've got to start catching those first thoughts of worry, anxiety, and fear, and then shift to being intentional to say, this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to change me. And when stress gets really high, I'm going to choose to change me and not focus on what's wrong. I'm going to choose to focus what's right and what I can control. And so it's this catch shift. So it's going to feel uncomfortable, because we live in a world right now filled with so much fear and worry and anxiety and group thinking and, depersonalizing everyone and people. And so this is the catch shift. That's, I'm going to show up being me. I'm unique. And these are the values that are important to me and why. So then I can just enjoy life, guys. We get one life.
Yes.
That's all we're trying.
Yes.
You know, does that make sense?
100%. Yes.
And so the other fun exercise that I have people do. So do y'all happen to have a pen or a piece of paper in front of you?
Yes.
So this is just another way of just showing how we can, retrain our brain is, so just write really quick. So Leonette, are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay, Shiney?
I'm right also.
Okay, and I'm right. Okay, so I want you to take your left hand, your less dominant hand. So this isn't the hand you typically use to write with, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I just want you to write, we'll do it short for time's sake, just, I choose no fear this year.
Looks like a kindergartner is writing. I choose no fear this year. Okay. Shiny, are you doing it? I don't see you writing over there.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And then I would like to say, and I choose me.
And I'm writing quickly. Look at this. I thought I'm better than I thought.
Of course you are.
But look at that. It looks like my I don't have a 4-year-old, but if I did, this is what it looked like. I choose no fear this year. I choose me. I choose me. And faith. I choose me and faith. All right. Well, this is not uncomfortable at all, but here we are. Okay, I'm done. Are you done, Shiny?
Of course not.
Period. Okay, I choose no fear this year. I choose me and faith. Oh, you're doing all capital letters.
Are you done, Shiny?
Yeah, almost.
She's almost done.
Okay, got it.
I don't know what you're writing. You're not. You wrote, I choose me, I choose no fear, I choose faith. Close enough.
It's all good. There's never a right or wrong way, guys. It's always our way.
Brit's so nice. Brit's so sweet. She's like, it's okay, Shiny, that you didn't write it correctly. You're living your best life.
It's all good, right? Okay, so let me ask you guys. So it probably looks messy, your handwriting, correct?
It's messy, yes.
Okay, and that took some intention to, you had to actually think about what you were in focus.
Correct.
Focus.
Yes.
So that's what this no fear this year word is going to help you. It's going to give you focus. It's going to say, you know what? Wow, I have been showing up, in fear and depersonalizing and talking and going back to just all the noise and living in it. And I'm actually going to choose to focus on me, to change me, and to not personalize what's going on around me. And I know I went to a store the other day and I had my face mask and I'm waiting in line and they told me to go in, but the person I was with couldn't. And it was just, there was so much confusion around us. And I was just like, I'm just staying present. I'm just staying present. I'm just staying present. I'm having understanding that this is an uncomfortable time that we're in, and I'm choosing to stay present. And I'm going to have understanding as to why the employee was frustrated and not personalize it. And I just in trying to figure that out. And it's a game changer, guys, because our brain, especially right now, it's like, do I go? It's like, we're doing our podcast not together. I'm in South Carolina and you're in Atlanta. However, every part of you wants to be there. However, I know wisdom right now is we're supposed to be emotionally distancing. However, that's not so there is that catch shift, just even in what we're doing in our world today.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you know what? All I can do is just be in the moment and make the decision that's best for me right now. And if I fail and I fall, I just get back up. And then having that group around you where you can get back up is just a game changer too. So that's the other thing we've got. And we'll go into our No for This Year word and do the challenge together. Okay. But we do also have our Stronger Together community, which is a free community that we're putting together that's going to be people that are living with this mindset. We don't try to change anyone. We do not try to change anyone. We're just a group of people that are stepping in saying, you know what, I'm going to start living with faith. I'm going to start living with compassion, and I'm going to start to find the joy in each of the moments that we get. Which I love that you have me on your podcast, because it's exactly what Virago 24/7 is trying to
exactly. Yeah. It's exactly what I'm trying to do, because we all have stories, but it doesn't mean that we have to let it continue to define us. And like you said, then it, trickles down to our kids, and they have the same baggage and crap that, we're carrying, and we're dumping it on them. So it's realizing that we can change at any age, like you said before, changing and moving forward in a positive direction. So that's why, and also to realize that you're not doing it by yourself. So as women, I have to put on my happy face, and I have to pretend everything is great and everything is wonderful, when, your house can be crumbling, but on the outside, no one would know. And then you don't know that this person is going through the same exact thing, because we don't talk about it, because we have to appear to be perfect. And
that's why
I'm trying to break that, people.
I was a huge supporter of Leonette doing this podcast from the beginning, when she first mentioned it a while back, because of that. I 100% agree. I think females are so hard. We're so hard on each other and ourselves. Yes. And what we really need to do is support each other, because from the outside, it's so easy to judge each other and think, oh, she has it easier, or she has it easier. And, for myself, I'm not a fashion forward person, but I do always have a smiley face.
Yes.
And just from a smile, people can gather all this information thinking, oh, she has it easier than me. But I don't. I'm just like you.
And I think the game changer, a couple of things that you guys said that I'll just touch on that I love is, the game changer is we as women that have gone through this and have balance right now, to be able to speak to those that it's okay. Because what happens is most people show up in my office in survival mode.
Yes.
And that's when it's the hardest to change. So if you're just trying to implement these right now, that's such a game changer. And then, I'm going to touch again, because this is always my message, I'm for generational change. I do not shame any adult or parent that has been showing up in the conflict circle. I myself was showing up that way, not intentionally, unknowingly. So we can change and be for generational change. So we can start to model what healthy emotional behavior is for our kids. And then the last thing I'll touch on, because I just thought, do y'all know who Brene Brown is?
Oh, yes.
I love her.
Yes.
And so she said, and so I'm taking this from her. She said, y'all might be too old, but there was a commercial that said, it was for perfume. And the woman walked in and she goes, I can bring him the bacon fried up in a pan, and never forget you're a man, because I'm a woman.
Yes.
Anjali. Do y'all remember that? And the woman came in. She's beautiful. And she's working, and she's doing the food. She's taking off, and she's doing her lingerie. Have y'all ever seen this?
I don't, but it sounds fantastic.
It sounds really good.
Okay. And so this is what Brene Brown said. She goes, I don't know how much perfume they sold, but I can tell you how many antidepressants commercials sold.
True.
Because it's not realistic, guys.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. I cannot look perfect 24/7 and orbiting around everyone, because that was what the commercial was saying. I could do it all, look perfect, and just keep going. It's no, I can make bacon with my hair on top of my head and no makeup, and ask my child and my husband to help me do all that. And that's real.
Exactly.
And we work together as a community, and then I'm beautiful.
Yes.
Then I can actually have time to go and take a bath.
Yes.
So I can look pretty and come out.
Yeah. Going back to what you said, people see your smile and they think, you have it all together. And maybe sometimes people do have it all together, but like you said, it's because they've learned the balance. Not that they're doing what that girl in the commercial is doing. She's not doing everything and then still having a beautiful smile. It's finding that balance is what brings peace and it just changes. And I'm coming from a place where I feel that myself. I feel that balance. I feel that peace. So if it appears to be that, oh, Leanna has it all together. No, it's just because I'm choosing, like you said, I'm choosing faith over fear. And I'm choosing, peace over anxiety.
You're choosing no fear.
Yeah, I'm choosing no fear. And it is empowering.
It's your perspective.
Yeah.
It's a perspective of faith over fear.
I've learned also that when someone has everything or they've learned that balance, to cheer them on and not to be jealous or compare yourself to that person because you don't know what they had to do to get to where they are. So just teaching women not to pit themselves against each other,
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Well, and someone gave me this analogy or someone gave me this visualization and I loved it. And they said, we're all in this storm. Mm-hmm. There's hurt going on all around us. That's the part of the world we live in. Mm-hmm. And some people have a yacht. Some people have a sailboat. Some people have a canoe. Some people have a life raft. Mm-hmm. However, that's yours. So whatever you have in your life right now, love that. It's keeping you afloat. Be mindful to keep water out. Be mindful to stay clear of the turbulent waters. So find other, people that are in still waters, and don't compare yourself.
Yes.
And do not ever apologize for what you have in your life.
That's
today,
what I'm learning.
Yes.
Yeah. I do feel bad and I do want to apologize. And it's like, or you want to downplay how things are going. Or I just don't say anything because I don't want to downplay and I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of woe is me just so I can feel a part of the group because I don't have those stories right now at this moment in time. So I just don't say anything. And then I feel bad. Yeah.
No, I'm happy for you.
But not everyone is like you, Shiney.
I know, but
honestly, this is also what I'm learning. I'm learning to surround myself with women that are truly, truly happy for one another. And if you're not that kind of woman, then I just kind of keep you at arm's length. So the circle that I run with, they're truly, truly, truly happy for each other.
That's good.
And we cheer each other on. So I can say that.
That's a healthy environment.
And the ones that don't, they stand out. And to kind of, I'll talk to you if I see you at the supermarket, but you're not going to be in my inner circle.
Well, and with that, what I just liken it to is that the more that I surround myself with men and women, because I do believe this is men and women.
Correct. Yes.
The more that we surround ourselves with just a community of compassion and understanding and kindness and support and leaning on each other and encouraging people to really turn to your faith and then step out there, it then enables me to be able to see other people without judgment and understanding, because I remember when I was there. Now, I do not go and rescue. Mm-hmm. However, I can say, how can I help? I can invite them into our community, and then it's each individual person's choice. And so that's been, that's that cat shift or that game changer, because each time that I start to personalize or allow someone else to define my life, it's like I visualize this. I'm like, here, just write my story for me. Just grab my pen and start writing for me. And I'm like, no one gets my pen. I'm like, this is my pen and I'm writing my story. Yeah. And I'm choosing how I'm going to fill the page right now, because this might be the last moment I have. Mm-hmm. And so it's really just learning to value my own voice and understand, and trying to align my voice with God's. Yes. I try. I'm always like, God, get me out of your way, because I get in his way often.
Yes.
Well, so if we go into the challenge real quick, so if you guys are listening to this, it's really, really simple. So the free PDF, it's going to have a little video of me explaining it, and then you just walk through it. And so it's just kind of fun. So basically what the no fear this year word is, it's going to be your intention. It's going to be what you say, I want to grow more of this in my life, and then why you chose it. And so one of my clients, they're a college student that struggles with some doubt and has had some just unfortunate things come their way. So they're choosing fearless. And he says his quote that he puts with fearless is that fate loves the fearless, meaning that fate's going to really reward him if he just keeps believing in himself. Another one of my clients, their word is patient endurance. Because she has 3 boys and a husband. So she lives in a house filled with men, and she's always trying to be really, really patient, but then she just loses it. So she wants that patient endurance because it's kind of counterintuitive. So she's going to endure in patience. And she chose a Bible verse that just said, patient endurance is really staying in God's will and trusting the blessings that he has for you. Another one of my clients picked intentionally simple, because she just really wants to simplify her life. So so what she's doing is being intentionally simple. For me, for the group, my word is called problem solver. Okay. And the reason I chose problem solver is I love Albert Einstein's quote, which is this: you cannot solve the problems with the same thinking you use to create them. So I'll say that again, because I was like, that's genius. I was like, oh, wait, he was a genius. Yeah, I was like, so you cannot solve your problems with the same thinking you use to create those problems. So my pledge to my clients and my students is I'm going to really find fun, intentional ways for us to really deal with anxiety and really intentionally show up with positive, loving, faithful thoughts.
I love that.
That's why I chose that.
So how do you pick the word? Is this something that you just have to dig deep, or is it going to just pop in our head? Like how are we picking this?
Yeah. So I would ask you, what's the number one thing you'd like to change in your life over the next 30 days? What would you like more of in your life, or less of? It can be either.
And you had us pick 4 words and then narrow it down.
Yeah, you can pick 4 words if you want. With the PDF exercise, that's if I'm not here talking you through it. You just pick 4 words. So the words can be, happiness or joy or peace of mind or intentionality or...
That kind of helped me. I picked 4 and then I narrowed it down.
Well, so Shiney, let's do you first, and then we'll go to you first. Okay. Start to think.
Okay, so I picked worthy, and my reasons: I am worthy. To have worth is to have value, importance. I am good enough. I am not invisible. I am deserving. I am deserving of love, of respect, kindness, of good manners, equality. I am worthy. I am good, true, and whole. I believe that what you give out to the world will come back to you tenfold. Honor my word.
I love that, Shiney. So that's your word of the year.
Yes.
I love that.
So your focus will be worthy.
Yes.
And then each time, and I love that you wrote that quote. You wrote that, didn't you?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So that's pretty much, everyone, there's not a right or wrong way to do it.
Okay.
It's just your way. So in the exercise, it's what are 4 words that you're wanting to focus on. And then you either just find a quote.
Okay.
Or something, and one of my clients, she chose beauty because she struggles with her family of origin, put a lot of focus on outward beauty. Mm-hmm. And she's really want to intentionally focus on her inward beauty. So she's saying inner beauty is her word. Okay. And then she uses the quote, which I love. It was written by a man about Audrey Hepburn. but it says it says the beauty of a woman, for attractive lips, speak with kind words, for lovely eyes, seek out the good in people, for a slim figure, share your food with the hungry, for beautiful hair, let a child run his or her fingers through it once a day, for poise, walk in the knowledge you'll never walk alone. People, even more than things, have to be restored, renewed, revived, reclaimed, and redeemed. Never throw anyone out.
That's
so
beautiful.
It's just, yeah, it's the beauty of a woman. It's not seeing the clothes she wears. It's how it's how she carries herself. And so you can go that deep, but also, Lena, you can just say, I have one client that she just wants happiness. So she's like, I'm just going to focus on being happy. And what happiness means to her is having a cup of coffee in the morning and waking up she has Alexa play happy music, because she tended to struggle with anxiety. And when she woke up, she would get sad. So she's like, my word when I wake up each morning is happy. And I'm going to really love my cup of coffee, and I'm going to play happy music. Or another one of my clients, they wanted peace of mind. And so they're being really intentional every morning to go on a walk, and they go and they have their Bible study and they spend time with God. Another one of my clients, her word was one with God, because she wants to really be intentional to fill her moments being one with God.
I love all of those.
Yeah.
Well, the word that keeps popping in my head now that we're talking about it is purpose. Living in my purpose, being intentional with my purpose.
I love that.
Well, and I love that. And so one of the other tools that we have in the challenge, it's our foundational prayer, because your focus to me either needs to be this, your no fear this year word, or God.
Okay.
And so, because that's it. I'm either focusing on the world or I'm focusing on God, and I'm saying, hey, God, what's up? And even if he feels 1,000 miles away, because I've been there crying and going, where the heck are you? I can't pay my bills. I don't know how I'm going to, provide food for my son tonight. Where are you? He's there.
Yeah.
And so my foundation,
being really pissed. I'm sorry to use that word, but being really pissed, because I've been what you're saying, and you're just angry. Like, what the heck? Why me? And I'm here all alone. So yeah, that feeling of despair is real.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I was like, God, like, I don't want to say, I've tried to think of a nicer word, but I'm done.
Yeah,
I am just done. And he's just like, I get it. Being on my hands and knees crying.
Oh, yeah.
And out of that birth, because I had an 8-year-old, I was in the middle of an awful divorce. I didn't know where to turn everything. I was in such turbulent waters. I couldn't breathe. However, I wrote this prayer, and it's my foundational prayer that you can download within the thing. And it's just simply this it started out this, and it's gotten longer. At the time, it was just, God, show me your truth and love in my life. I just kept saying that. God, show me your truth and love in my life. Where are you? I cannot hear you. Where are you? However, it's evolved, over 12 years, which it's this: God, I come to you with the desire to change. Open my eyes to see your truth and love in my life. Open my ears to hear your truth and love in my life. And fill my thoughts, my heart, my steps, and my moment with your spirit of faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, love, joy, peace, patience, pureness, and kindness. And God, I love you and thank you for loving me. And it's based on Galatians 5:22-23, which is freedom in Christ. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. And if you read Galatians 5, the Message, you will be blown away, because it's basically what the three of us are talking about today. Is it's a shift in perspective. And so when you're living in that fear, that first thought is faithfulness. If you can't figure out what your word is, and you're watching this today, that's okay. Or you're listening to us today, that's okay. I've been there, because everything was so foggy. I was just like, I don't believe in it, and it's fear of faith, fear of faith. And he says, I'm faithful. However, we just have to cling there, and we just have to be still, and then be in that community of others that are believing this and living this. And he will show up. It's just his timing's not always our timing.
Yes. And that's hard to learn, and the patience part of it. Like, I know he's going to find a way. It's just not going to be today. And I have to be patient that it's going to come. And it does come.
Well, and think about why it's so hard in our culture today is everything's instant.
Yeah.
It's an instant. I can have an instant friend, or really,
Yeah.
I can have instant coffee. And so it's God's ways, and we know this as women, and just think about the time of when we were carrying our children and seeing them grow, and just the beauty in 9 months, what God can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Imagine in 9 months, what he can do with our thoughts and our life. And so that's really what the No Fear This Year program is, I'm offering it, like I said, several different ways. It's a free PDF. You can pick the word and you get the tools, and you can join our Stronger Together community. That's free.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get with me with the teaching and all that, I'm offering it at that $49 a month.
So that's more access. That's more hands-on, more detailed, more, in communication with you.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other one, I'm going to be a part of the community, that's just me going a little bit more in depth. And then, of course, I always offer my one-on-one counseling, and I've got therapists and life coaches that work for us at Healing Life Institute, so we're actually can come alongside you, because some people do need that one-on-one support because you really are alone. So, we're just trying to get things in everyone's hands that affordable. My heart is to get everything in people's hands affordably, so they can start to really make change.
That's important. And people can go to healinglifeinstitute.org, correct?
Correct. Healinglifeinstitute.org. Yes.
And if they want to sign up for the year, the $49 a month yearly program, they can find it on the website.
Yeah. And so in my website, I have so many free resources. So I've got videos, I've got quizzes, I've got music, I've got the challenge there, I've got blog posts. So it's all this mentality of, if you're struggling and you need help, we're here for you. And, and my hope long term is, I'm working with, a lot of nonprofits and getting these tools into the hands of people there. So that's what we're doing.
I feel like God brought Bridget to me. I found her at like 2:00 in the morning one night.
Really?
Yeah. I was researching and really had the need, and and she was the first one who popped up.
Everything that we talked about, and I know you have so many other things that we can dive into, and I would love for you to come back on the show. But part of why I'm doing this is so that we can all heal as. Yes, it's a quote unquote woman's podcast, but I know men that are listening to it, and it's really for everyone. It's just, I have a heart for women, and, and being empowered and not letting society and life and how we were brought up to just, continue to weigh us down. So these are awesome, awesome tools. And thank you so much.
Well, no, you're so welcome. It was a pleasure, and I would love to come. And like I said, God's always working. We just have to look for that line and the connection, and he does show up. And it's just like, when it happens, it's just happy. Just thank you again for having me on. And before we leave, what I would love is, if you can print out after you do it, print out your No Fear This Year word, and then share it on social and invite your friends, because that's going to really create that ripple effect.
I'm definitely going to do that. Yes.
And I love that. And like I said, it's free. And this is the last thing that I'll leave you with, because I love someone shared this with me. So, because guys, really all we have is time and how we fill up our moments. And are we valuing our time and living in faith, or are we living in fear? So I'll give you something to think about. So if I were to this isn't happening. I just have to do a disclaimer. Okay. What I tell you, you're going to be like, Bridget, this sounds awesome. Okay. So if I gave you $86,400 in your bank account, you got $86,400 today.
Okay.
And then tomorrow you woke up and I gave you another $86,400. And then the next day, another $86,400. So for the rest of your life, every Every moment you wake up, you're going to have $86,400 there. And it's for you to do what you want. You can either complain about it, forget about it, or you can be grateful for it. You can intentionally invest it for yourself and then invest it for your family and then spill that out over into your community. What would you choose to do with that $86,400?
The last one. Like,
okay.
Be grateful.
And how would you feel?
I mean, I'd be happy every morning waking up, getting $86,400 in my bank account. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like you would wake up feeling excited every single day.
Correct. And you would be valuing it and feel a purpose.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Do you know how many moments you get in a 24-hour period?
In a 24
And how many seconds do you get in 24 hours? I'm going to say 86,400. I'm like, wait a minute. 86,000. Is it really? It's 86,400 seconds?
Correct. So you see my two hands.
Okay.
So in each moment, I ask myself, of these 86,400 moments, how many did I live in fear? And how many did I live in faith? How many was I really clinging to God, focusing on my no fear this year word, and really showing up with intention?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game changer. And then the last thing I'll ask is, what are you grateful for? And most people will say family, friends. And I always say, be grateful for choice. That's what I want everyone to be grateful for, choice. Because I'm either choosing to value my 86,400 moments and how I show up, or I'm complaining and worrying and living in fear.
Yes.
And that's the game changer, because when I'm choosing to change me and to trust God and his blessings, that's going to spill over into my family and societies. Then I can be grateful
for all those other things. Yeah.
For all of that. Mm-hmm.
So grateful for choice. That's what we need to be. I like that.
Because happiness is a choice. We make that decision every day.
Mm-hmm.
And people can't make us happy. A vacation can't, a promotion can't, having a boyfriend can't.
No.
Yeah.
Moving, like, if we just live in that house, we'll be happy. I've seen that. Well, I kind of grew up in that environment.
When the weekend comes,
Yeah. Yeah. Like living for the weekend.
Or the people who say, when we get a bigger house.
And that's not true. That doesn't help.
Well, that goes back into the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Me not being grateful for the boat that I have and choosing to tend to my boat and find the joy in there and enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Or if I lose the weight, or
actually, that would make me happy. Well, I would be very happy with that. I'm okay with that.
You're
not gonna be mad.
You're beautiful the way you are.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I'm being truthful.
All right, we're going to end on that, ladies. Bridget, thank you so much. This has been fun, and I could actually talk to you for another hour or two. So
another 86,400 moments.
Yes,
exactly. So we're going to start. So our pledge to each other is that we're going to be prayerful and pray for each other, and just keep spreading the light.
Yep.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun.
Shiny.
Great to see you.
I know. Hi, Four.
Our quote of the week was shared by Linda Toms on my Facebook group page. And it's a quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And this is what it says. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I so hope that you enjoyed this conversation. If you love the podcast, go now and rate us. And don't forget to give us 5 stars. Reviews are also appreciated. And as I always say, share. Share it with someone that you think would love to eavesdrop on these conversations. Until next week.
Everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies. What a fistful of tears, years full of pain. Y'all don't hear me.